everyone, welcome back to my channel. So this video will be how to make this. So we'll be making one similar to that one I made in that first collaboration video. These little frames just make them look so vintage. Okay, so on this ornament, we're going to be using the wooden tag, and I've just painted it with a white craft paint. I did front and back, and it doesn't have to be perfect because you're going to be covering most of it. So once I did that, then I picked out the pattern that I wanted for the background, and I chose to use the shabby Christmas trees that I love. But there's so many more to choose from in these kits by Rach and Bella. So this was another one that I'll be using in a little bit for another one. But just kind of, you know, whatever your style is, go with that, and whatever colors you want to use. There's so many pages in these kits that are just adorable. So there's, you know, collages, there's Christmas scenes, there's just so many pretty ones. So you use whatever you like and whatever goes with your style. I just kind of like the shabby style, so that's why I'm going with these shabby Christmas tree backgrounds. So what I did is, once I picked out my background, then I chose to tear this one because I really like just being able to ink the edges of those torn edges around the paper, and I like the effect that that gives. So for this one in particular, that's what I'm going to do. So I just took and tore the shape as best I could, and if you don't get it just right, then just go back and tear another. That's what I did. So I ended up with this shape. So also I wanted to show you the other sheets that I used for this. I used the little words, and so that came from one of the sheets where it's just loaded with words. So I've cut out a few already, but I cut out the word blessing. And then I also am using the black and white photos, Wintry Wishes. So I'll have a link to it, but these are really cute little black and white photos. So this is the size they come in when you first print, and I just went in there and I did them a little bit smaller. So you can always adjust that too. Okay, so now that we have that torn, here's the little photo I'm going to be using today. And I did not have any more of the other shape frame, but I have this one. So we're going to go with this one today. And then you need a little eyelet and your tool to set that. And this is actually just, I think like an old feed sack. So I'm going to be ribbing that for my ribbon. But you can use any kind of ribbon you choose. I also have like the little sheer fabric ribbon. You can use pattern ribbon, anything Christmassy, anything that goes with your style. So, but this is what I'll be using today. Okay, so now that I have this torn, I'm just going to take and bring my distress ink over. And I'm going to do the edges of it to make it stand out against that background. Just like that. Okay, something else that I did, I kind of wanted more of like a brownish background on this, but you just use whatever you have. You don't even have to do that, but I just kind of liked making that coloring on this one. That I just took some of my ink and I just kind of rubbed it around and gave it more of that aged look. And if you'll notice, it doesn't matter that the inside is not perfect because this is going to cover that up. If you like the look of the white, then just leave it white. So here we can kind of get a picture of what it's going to look like. I just kind of place it over the top, and that's where I'll be cutting it. See if you like that look. And if that's something you like, then keep it white. And if not, then you can experiment with whatever color you want. I think I'm going to go with this one because I want my picture to pop away from the rest of it. And with this being white and this being toned down, that's going to let your picture just kind of stand out more. So I'm going to use this one. Something else I need to do with my ink is to distress the edges of this. And then I'm going to go ahead and measure my picture out. So I know I want it cut here. I'm going to cut right below that brown line to begin with, because I want to give a little something to glue to down there. And you could have left it the whole thing too. But that still gives me a little extra down there to glue to, because I'm going to pull that picture down just a little bit to get more of the top. So I'll have a good little edge on all sides. So I'm just going to take and mark it here by bending it. And the rest of it I think will be fine. So I'm going to cut this little edge off. And you could totally do that from the start. Just kind of bend it around the edges and see where it falls. So when we go to glue, you're not going to see any of those edges, but you're going to have a really good grab on each side with the glue. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this because we don't have to ink it. There's nothing that you would need to ink on the edges. And just remember how it falls in your frame so you don't over glue in those spots that don't need to be. So that's going to be super cute. It's a cute little scene. I love the sign up here. So I'm just going to set that aside and let that be drying. So I'll move on to this, and I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. This one's pretty simple. Doesn't require a lot of work. Super quick. So I'm going to put this, I hate our little tree's not going to show, but it's still pretty. It's just this frame covers up a lot of it. So I think I'm going to glue this right in here, right at the bottom of that Christmas tree. I just like to lay things out and make sure of where I'm putting them before I actually put the glue on there. That way you get a better idea. Make less mistakes that way. Which there's really no mistake. You can always fix it, and most of the time it ends up turning into something even better when you're done. So don't stress. No stress. Okay, so I like that right there. I'm going to go ahead and get glue all along the edges here and making sure I catch that frame so that it for sure will glue down solid. And then cover it good with glue. Just going to center that up as best I can. I want it higher, but not so high that I can't put my eyelet and give room for my ribbon to go through. And since this is wood, I want to make sure that I have enough to punch that hole through the wood without it splitting. That looks pretty straight. That's going to be cute. Oh, do you know what I forgot? I forgot my snow tool. So off we go. I should have cut that first. Let me see if I can get this back on here without messing it up. Okay, so now that I've got that pull back off, I'm so sorry about that. I forgot. I got ahead of myself. So I'm just going to cut a little piece of this snowy tulle that comes from the Dollar Tree, but it is seasonal. So if you catch it around Christmas time, then buy enough that you can use it all through the year. And so I'm just going to kind of rough it up a little bit so it's not perfect. Give it a little texture, give it a little shape so that it ruffles a little better. And then I'm going to kind of cut off the corners here so it's a little bit better shaped. And so let's put this down first. There still should be enough glue on there. I don't have to worry about that. Okay, make sure my picture is still good. Got a little bit of glue in there. Okay, so there's that. I'm gonna go back and put some more glue. Got glue all over my fingers now. And we're gonna place that down right in the center, and that looks really, really cute. I love it. So now if you want, you can go back and add the little glass glitter around on the edges. So if you want to add glass glitter, it would really be easier before you put all this on here. But I always do things backwards, kind of, you know, think things through the hard way. And so I'm just going to show you that it still can be done. If you get to this part and you either forget or you're like, I think I need something else, well, you can still add glitter. So let me show you how simple that would still be. So I always get me a little scrap sheet to go under. And then you need a tiny tip, whatever kind of glue it is that you like for glitter. This is the art glitter glue. So I'm just going to go around the edge. Super tiny little fine line. Does not have to be perfect. And I'm going to sprinkle. And see, that's already adding such a pretty little touch there. And it's not hard to add once you get this on there. It's still super easy. Oh, I just love it. It's so pretty. It just adds such a vintage Christmas feel when you add it. Just be sure and let that tool as you go around and hold it so that it doesn't get in the way. It's not hard. It's still super simple. Okay, I love it. Look at that. That just adds the perfect touch to me. It just makes it have a very vintage, sophisticated maybe look about it. Okay, so what I do for this is I gently go under, and I'm going to start with the smallest hole first, because that way I don't rip my wood. It doesn't break the wood or split it. So I just kind of go from there and make it bigger. That way it's really not splitting. And it might not split it to use the big one anyway, but I'm always scared of it. So I just go ahead and make the small one first, if you have one of these tools. If not, and you don't have to use an eyelet, you could just poke a tiny little skinny hole and add your little ribbon from there. But I like the finished look that this gives it. Okay, so before I mess up my glitter too much, I'm going to move it to where I can put it back in my jar. So let me do that. Okay, so then I'm just going to rip my little ribbon from this old feed sack. But you could use an old sheet. Anything that you want to rip up, or any kind of ribbon that you have. I just like to rip like this. And it's super cheap because you just use whatever you have. An old pillowcase, an old rag, but it makes such a pretty little ribbon. So just, you know, look around. If you have old clothes or anything that you don't mind ripping up, that'd be perfect for it. Okay, so then I'm gonna cut me a little strip. And I like to feed the loop from the front toward the back. Because then once you get the loop, it makes it pretty in the front, I think. Having that little finished look on the front too. So just kind of tighten it, pull it, and And there we have our finished little ornament. So, so cute. My gosh, I love these so much. This, I'm sure, came from the craft store. So just look around your craft stores for these tiny little frames. I know Walmart sometimes has those, and even the dollar store has those little cheap packages of those tiny little frames that might have they might be colored, but you could always paint them. If you've ever watched my videos, you know I check the sales, I check the clearance, I check thrift shops. Anyway, you find unique items that way. So there's just lots of ways that you can make do with what you have or go the cheaper route. But there's the finished tag, and I love it. Look for the other videos following this that will show how I created the rest of it. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I will see you in the next one. God bless.